Welcome to Sage Alerts Workflow. Today we have presenting with us Greg Swallow. I am Tara Schinkel from Stewart Technologies, and we also have Tony Beaker from Nexus on the line as well. Today we're just going to be talking about Sage Alerts and workflow and how it can really help you really do a better job of staying on top of your accounting system in terms of just really monitoring, giving you guys insight into the system, taking action and solving problems, sometimes before they've even become a problem. So without further ado, I'm going to hand the floor over to Greg here. So Greg, if you want to lead the
Kick it
way.
off. Perfect. Thanks very much, Tara, and good morning, everyone, and good morning and afternoon to everyone who's going to join us in future time watching the recording. Appreciate you the Stewart Technologies, putting this together in your time to join me, and hopefully at the end of this, you're going to come to the equation that, yeah, this is a valuable solution, and I'm going to get something out of this moving forward. So a little history, if you will, because I'm old and a lot of you guys have been around the technology world forever, but when you wanted to get something from a computer system, you had to go and find someone to go and extract that information. And hopefully you never wanted to edit that information because you basically got a file dump. Well, we've got a lot of new tools out in the market like BI and BA and artificial intelligence and things like that, but it's on the same premise. You got to know what you want to get that information, pull it out to you. But if you don't know what you want, you're never going to get it. So if we look at actionable insights or Sage Alerts and workflow, I want you to think of it as a smoke detector for your business. It's something that's sitting inside of Sage and looking for key performance indicators, looking for things that based on anomalies, based on trigger events, based on time dates, based on things that have changed within your organization or within the data within the Sage product that's going to let you be an alert to you, or a smoke detector, if you will, to let you know that something's going on. So if you look at value proposition, automate the detection of critically needed information, right? So what do I need? Let's have it sent to the person. Deliver that information. Who gets it? And at what time do they get it? And automate the process of acting on that information. So think of it's just sitting there in the background on the server and just, hey, look, you need to be aware of this. Hey, you need to be aware of this. Or this is an event that's going to happen that's going to affect your business. So what is Sage Alerts and Workflow? It's a software solution that automates the if-then business process of your organization. And I know we got talking about Sage 100 today, but it also works for Sage HRMS, Sage CRM, Sage other products that you have, along with a series of ecosystem products. So any of the endorsed solutions or white labeled solutions that wrap themselves around the Sage solution, it works with at the same time so that you get a holistic view of all your data and you're not dealing with silos of data. So for an example, with an ERP, if a new order comes in, then send an invoice to a client, right? Because that's the next logical step. If a PO is approved, then notify the CFO and so on. So I've got a series of different events here that something is going to happen. What is the next step? What should I do? You're paying someone or you have someone on staff who's doing this within your organization. Maybe you can take some of those steps out so that they just happen as part of the process. And then you know whether that person's off on PTO or holiday or they move positions, that's still happening within your organization. So all these different things can be alerted within the application. So if this happens, then do this, if you will. It saves time, it makes you more responsive, and increases your knowledge. So let's get into a little. I just put together a couple different questions. We're just going to keep a total in your mind so you know it makes sense. And they'll start off, it's easy. If we open your desk door, there's at least one highlighter pen. At some point in time in the course of your week, do you get a file from someone, be it an Excel spreadsheet, Crystal report, or whatever, and you go through that file maybe at the end of the week or the end of the day and go like, hey, and highlight what's important to you, right? So this component of the information, this component of file is important to you, and I want to highlight that. Then you pass that file to someone else and they go through that same process. So think about Sage Alerts and Workflow of not delivering the haystack to you, but delivering the needles. All those things that you've highlighted, all those things that are important to you to run your business and have visibility in your business, we can highlight and deliver specifically to you and your cohorts within your organization. We can deliver information specifically for them. So they're only seeing what they need to see and what's important to them to make meaningful decisions for your business. But let's get into it. So forms delivery. Do you have staff whose jobs include generating delivery forms and documents? And these are all types of forms. If you're delivering quotes out to people, if you're delivering invoices and statements and dunning notice and that sort of a picking list, packing list, anything that's being generated within Sage, whether you're generating it through a Crystal report, an SSRS report, any type of information that's being generated and delivered, we can use Sage Alerts and Workflow to deliver it to the specific person at the right time. So if it's at the end of the month, we want to send out all the invoices, and at the same time we want to send out the statements and and continue that going down the line. The Sage Alerts and Workflow can deliver that information out to the appropriate person. So think of the way that you're running your business now. If you've got people running around printing reports and then delivering them somehow, we can automate that through forms delivery. Exception management. So perhaps this do have your colleagues run a review reports, identify exceptions within your business. We all look at businesses that run consistently, and as long as we're keeping the same KPIs and things are going on, that's great. I don't want to know about what's running well. You as management want to know what's going wrong, and that's where we want to call out and have the software call it out. Because yes, we can get to the end of the month, we can get to the end of the quarter, and then we can use a lot of BI and BA tools to go in and do an autopsy on what happened. But using Sage Alerts and Workflow, we're giving you that information in real time. And think of what that will do for your customer experience by having that information instantaneously so you can make a decision that's going to affect the customer, could affect your business model, could affect your cash flow. So if we need to know something, let's have the software generate that information that's coming out of Sage and have it delivered to you so you can make intelligent decisions if something's changed. If we need to know the customer has changed, the terms have changed, the sales rep has changed, the status has changed, anything that's changed within the order, within the process, let's have that information sent to the appropriate person. So time response, and maybe certainly in today's world, we have time responses when we're getting orders in or we're sending things out. So you may be getting orders that say order by date, ship by date, cancel by date. No substitutions, must fulfill order in full, no fill and kill, no back order POs. All those things are coming in and we need to be aware of them. So if you have a ship by date, so your product can hit a shelf or hit the next line in the supply chain, we want to make sure that we're getting those time responses out to the shipping department, maybe to the pickers and packing department, so that they know they've got to pick, pack, and ship that product within 3 days to hit that delivery date that the customer is looking for. Those types of things become crucial in that supply chain. So the shipping promise date, completion date, approval dates, anything like that have a timestamp to them that you've agreed with that customer, we're going to monitor that to make sure you're in compliance with what you said you were going to do. You may be in a situation where you give your customers, a 10% discount for 10,000 units for the 30-day cycle, if you will. And then on day 2 of the next cycle, they tried to push that discount through your ordering process. You just want to be aware of that discount is coming through. You may want to accept it, but at least you know that that's coming through your system. So anything that you're changing that's a date specific, that's within the data coming in or within the data that you've set up within Sage, we're going to monitor everything against those dates to make sure that you're meeting those time responses. And then threshold monitoring. Do you have different things that you review reports and analytics to see if your business is in need of exceeding acceptable thresholds? And what would be a threshold would be your discounts amount. So I'm a salesperson, I'm allowed to give a 10% discount on an order value of over $5,000 to complete an order in this month. That's great, but maybe you want to monitor how many times that I do that historically to say, hey, I've got 5 salesmen, but Greg's the one who's always given the discount. So yeah, he's selling more, but if I do my costing at the end, he's actually costing the company more. So we can monitor that type of things. We look for past due amounts. If you have an invoice that's going out at the end of 30 days, and then you have another invoice that goes out in 60 days. When we send that second invoice, maybe we want to copy the salesperson to know that their customers' AR is starting to get extended. When we get to 90 days, maybe we want the software to also send this statement, but also put that customer on credit hold and notify the salesman and the sales manager. Maybe along the process, if we get to 60 days, we want to notify anytime a new purchase order comes in for that customer to just notify, hey, do you want to take this new order for the client before their AR is cleaned up? So those types of threshold monitorings we can look at and set up around Sage in the business process so that you can, again, more better invisibility to your business. Do you have a scenario where you have assignments and approval? Do you have a purchase order that someone needs to sign off? So I'm allowed to buy things over 5,000. Tara's allowed to buy things over 10,000, if you will. Do we need multiple signatures with the organizations? Do we need to push things out? Do you have drawings that have to be completed when an order comes in? Do you have WMIS reports? Do you have any sort of documentation that has to wrap around that order to be processed through? So is an assignment to a vendor is shipped, does it need a manager's approval? Does it need a drawing? Does it need a partner's approval? Anything that has assignments and approvals, we're going to look to make sure as that's coming in against a bunch of different criteria that has completed that approval process to move your business process the next step, if you will. So if you've got things sitting within your order entry or within manufacturing or within shipping that's waiting for someone's approval, we're going to keep bothering that person to get that approval. And we'll do it in a nice way first, and then we'll add in their manager, and then at some point in time we'll keep that circle of communication growing until that product moves to the next step. So you may find that things are going on in your business and someone's got to be approved, and it's sitting there because the person that needs to be approved is on PTO, right? So we want to be able to monitor those type of things to keep process moving to get orders to cash as fast as possible. And then enterprise-wide auditing. So there's a lot of different things that we look at from an ERP, but perhaps you have other applications. You're running Sage HRMS, you're running Sage CRM, you're running different solutions around your enterprise to make your business operate. So we look at different things like credit hold and credit statuses and item costs and assignment reps and status and priorities, day due, promise date, discount dates. Some of the things that you want to think of is, I sent an invoice out or sent a purchase order out to one of my vendors. My vendors sent an invoice back in, and the price that I assigned for the price versus the landed cost, because shipping costs has become crazy at this point in time, is exceeded what my gross margin is on that. So we want to have an alert that that's happened. If you have an order coming in and it's from a customer, we look historically, that customer for the last 6 months has always ordered these 5 items at this price and in this quantity. This order's now come in, the quantity's changed, it's either gone up or down, which is a trigger event that we want to let the salesperson know. The quantity's gone up and down, or the price has changed. So think about it, if your salespeople knew, and we look at salespeople as account managers. An account managers is great, 250 to 500 customers, that's the account manager, but we highly incentivize them to sell net new customers, right? New customer ads, we're going to give you 10% on new customer ads, we're going to give you 1% on your install base maintenance, if you will. So think about having a software that's monitoring everything that's going on with Sage and everything in the customer file. So if a variable changes when we're looking at something has happened, let's notify the salesman that an event has changed within their customers, or their model has changed that they've historically done. This way it gives them a visibility into what's going on, because historically salespeople only really get to deal with their account management is when there's a fire happening, right? There's one of their customers is upset, or something has changed, or something dynamic has happened, and that's when they have to deal with that customer. Once they do that, they go back into selling the new customer ads, right? Because that's where their mindset's at. So having that software that's sitting there and saying, hey, you need to be aware of this has happened, this has changed, this is the buying habits change, is a helpful tool for salesmen and sales management to know what's going on. Distribution. So do you have staff who run jobs, distribute and organize analytic reports? And they may be AR aging reports. You may be generating those out at the end of the month, end of the week. Check balance sheets, job status, shipment statuses, right? So maybe you want to send out to your shipping department, these are the orders that ship today, these are the orders we're expecting to ship tomorrow, these are the orders that we're expecting to ship this week. And if they could have that visibility coming to them every day, how does that help them schedule whether I need a fork truck today or I need a bunch of hand bombers? Is there a pack configuration that I have to comply to? Is there a weight configuration that I have to apply to in that shipping packaging? So all that type of information can be sent out in a report, out dispersed throughout your organization. So anything that, if you have in your organization people delivering, creating, sending different reports, or you yourselves receiving reports on a daily basis, we can use the software to reconcile that and to bring it all into one place so that you can get it at any one time. One of the things I will say is that, you know, at 5 o'clock you go home, you don't want 20 reports coming to you, but there's that one report that everybody needs, and it may be day end sales, it may be day end shippings, it may be my cash flow, right? Those things I want delivered to me even if I'm on holiday, even if it's on a weekend. Those are the types of things. So you can set these reports up to have multiple deliveries at different times. So do you have data cleansing? Lots of companies sit around, you know, been around for a long time. They've got duplicated SKU numbers within their system. They've recycled their SKU numbers. They've got email addresses that parts and pieces are missing. You've got within your CRM solution, you've got Greg at KnowledgeSync, but in your ERP, you've got Greg at vineyardsoft.com. So when we look at data cleansing, we look at across multiple databases, right? Because Sage Alerts and Workflow can connect to any database, yes through ODBC, yes through .NET, yes through REST APIs. So we can look at any database and tie the information in and look at it holistically and say, hey, this needs to be changed. So if you have bad data, right, in different things where your ship date in your CRM is one address, but in your ERP, it's a multiple addresses because you're shipping to a warehouse and Monday to Friday you ship to door 5, but if the packages are received on the Saturday, Sunday, it actually gets delivered to door 8. That information has to be exchanged and has to be shared in multiple different places within your databases so that you have clean data moving forward. And then inactivity detection. We use this a lot. In our own organization, what's missing from the order? If something's changed, is a date expired? Is a quote been aged too long? Is a price change been in effect that hasn't been reflected on the quotes? Anything that you have that's changed within your organization, we're looking for those things. So if no customer has placed an order from you, let's say you got 250 customers, when was the last time all 250 of them gave you an order? And maybe you want to cycle through what that order, last time they ordered from them. Or maybe you look at inventory and say, when was the last time we actually moved that part? Maybe there's a correlation between if we lowered the price point of that part, could we get those customers who haven't ordered to rejuvenate their ordering process again, right? So we put in a sales in place, we give it to the salespeople, and they get those customers moving again and placing orders. So we can have that kind of knowledge based on what's coming from the system. If you haven't received a or an order coming through, if there's been a price change, if there's been a quantity change, if someone has moved within the organization that you've been sending emails out to or connections out to, let's look at anything that's gone through from an inactivity of communicating with from within Sage 100. So anytime, anywhere, I touched on this earlier. So we can drive people crazy with alerts. It's going to come delivered to you as a soft-coded solution and pre-packaged 80 different alerts. But these alerts you can copy over, edit to specific things that you need, and or add new alerts too. So it's not uncommon to find companies with 200 or 300 alerts running at different cycles throughout the course of the month to generate information from you. But as I say, you don't want all that coming to you. I want to, when I'm on PTO, I want my alerts to go to Tara and vice versa. When she's on PTO, I want them to come to me. I don't want alerts after 5 o'clock, but I do want these two alerts. They're important to me. I want alerts that go to me, but the information is critical. So if I don't get the response and move the event to the next stage, I need you to send that alert to me and my manager. If you're not getting the response because both of us are maybe at a trade show, maybe we want to get that alert going to a bigger audience so that someone's covering us both off, because that does happen where you know your hierarchy level, you both happen to be out doing something, and so the customer is not being addressed. So things that are coming in from emails, right? So we've got all kinds of different emails coming into the application that we're going to alert at, and how we're going to send it out. Now, alerts can be delivered in really 3 fashions. Typically, an email alert, we're sending you an email that, hey, you need to be aware of something. Well, that's great, but you're not sitting at your desk. So we can send it by SMS. So using a connection to North America Twilio is we can send an SMS text to you saying, hey, look, you need to be aware of this. So that information is now going by email to your phone, going as a text message to you. And then we also have pop-ups or desktop dashboards. So as you're working away, we can have a dashboard pop up and say, hey, you need to be aware of this, and this is an event that's happening. But where that is useful, if you're in a situation where you're in a warehouse or an office and you're dealing with support cases and or M&S or maintenance cases or anything that's crucially in time, we can take all these alerts and push them up on screens within your office or in your warehouse. So here's an order, right? And you can have, here's an alert of an order being in, here's an alert of an order being processed, here's an alert of an order that needs to be shipped. And that can be visible throughout your entire organization by using a desktop alerting to those different screens within the system. Now, alerts can be delivered internally, but they can also be delivered externally. So in some cases, if for our partners on board, or a lot of our partners use Sage Alerts and Workflow to notify them that something's wrong in their customer's scenario. But for you as customers of ours, do you want to communicate information out to your clients? Do they want to know when a product is ready to be shipped? Do they want to know when a product has been shipped? Do they want to know of a price change? Do they want to know that there's going to be a back order? That information can be generated and sent not only internally, but it can be externally to your customers, your vendors, anyone that's within your ecosystem. We can communicate these alerts to them at any time and anywhere. So trigger updates. Let's watch the time. If a client isn't overdue, then change their credit status. We can have the software do that. But more than change their credit status, let's notify, order entry. Let's not really take that order. If an order comes in, let's tell the sales manager or the salesperson that they're trying to place an order while they're on credit status. and how do we get them off of credit status? If an order is below a minimum, quantities, discounts people are trying to take, if it, all these type of things that are happening within a day-to-day business, what do we want to trigger against those dates? So we're looking for information within Sage that's happening now in real time, and we're sending that out to you. So an item hasn't been sold in 30 days, if quotes expired in 7 days, and this goes for if you have car leases, if you have phone leases, you have office equipment leases, anything like that, we can notify you as well, because we can monitor that and say, hey, your printers are about to expire on their M&S sort of idea. So think about triggers and updates, what goes on in your business, and have the software generate that out. If then, do this, right? So if and then, so if this happens, what is the next step? So again, if something expires, schedule a follow-up call, PO approves, raise an urgency, all those type of things if you look at the processing of triggers. And so somewhere in the midst of all those things, you probably, there was at least half of them that makes you say, hey, there was enough there in what he was going on about to offer, to do a little more due diligence on the solution and bring it in-house. So how does it work? Quick alerts and workflow. So it sits on the database. It's not sold by a user count, it's sold by an application. So Sage ERP is one application, you would buy one connector to it. If you want to connect to Outlook or Office 365, that would be a second connector. If you want to connect to HRMS or CIM and so on, each connector along the way is a connection until you get to 4, and then you have an unlimited connection. So if you're using Inventory Advisor, if you're using Scanco, if you're using 100, and some different things, you may want to look at just starting off with an unlimited license, which is, you will get there if you buy 4, and on the 4th one you get unlimited. But we monitor things from a database, from a cloud connection, so we connect. And I'll talk in a couple slides about REST APIs and communicating that way. But anything around that, the application, we can look at that data. And then how do we notify them? So as I say, here's an email, but no one's sitting at their desk, so that's not going to help. So send me a text message, right? Because everyone's got their phone with them or access to them. Even your Apple Watch, right? It's coming up there that you need to be aware that something's changed. We can send it out through any different mode of communication that you're working with. And what type of communications is all the different documents. We generate data, right? So we can build a forms within the software to populate with different data segments that you want, and then have that sent out to the appropriate recipient. We can also send that reports in a graphical, right? So if you want charts and trends and insights, because some people are visual learners and they just want to see, yeah, my numbers are up, I'm in the green, or my numbers are down, I'm in the red, right? And that's a quick thing. These reports can be generated through Crystal, through SSRS. We're coming out with .doc, so basically a Word doc we can generate and send out that information. Other third-party reporting tools around the Sage ecosystem. If they're a Sage partner, there's a 99% chance we've already have an integration to them to change that information and deliver that information. And then synchronization and statuses and follow-up as actions and things like that. So if you think of your enterprise and your business today, you have Sage Alerts or Sage ERP, and around it you have a series of other solutions that make up your business today. Being able to get information from different silos and aggregate it all together and give you one holistic view of that data is really what Sage Alerts and Workflow is going to give you to your dashboard, if you will, allowing you to see how effect in one database has a secondary effect in a second database, and is that a positive or negative effect, and are we changing data at the appropriate time? So how does it work is tying all those different databases together. So Sage Alerts and Workflow comes in is a client server installation. It can be hosted as an installation, or it can come as a pure Azure cloud. But I'm going to talk about the the big picture. If you've worked with the product before version 10, and hopefully there's some people on or going to listen to this in the future, you had 4 modules set up within the application: Event Manager, Navigator, Administrator, and the Monitor, that had to be installed and had to be viewed. In the new version, it's all brought together to give you one clean view of what's going on, where you set up the application, where you set up the information to view. Again, this is a smoke detector. This is a set it and forget it app, if you will, sitting on the server. On a day-to-day basis, you would not interact with the software. It would just keep sending alerts out to you, and you would just receive them. You don't need to go to a solution and do anything on a day-to-day basis. So once this is set up, we go through, what do we want to deliver? So when do we want it? We'll start at the beginning. What is the event? What do you want us to do? When do you want us to schedule it? What triggers do you want to pull from the database? Where do you want it to happen? Do you want it to be delivered as a chart, a report, as a file? What is your delivery method? Well, I'd like to have it by an SMS text. And what is the action? Run as a script, run as a program. So each, as I say, it comes with Sage 100, about 80 different events. But if you wanted to add a new one, you just follow basically this process through. It's like, what is my event? When do I want to schedule it? What components do I need to be sent? And then how do I want it delivered? And a lot of times you'll run an event off an event. So give me a complete file of all my customers in the 405 area code. Then take that and then cross-reference it with another event. Show me which ones that haven't ordered in the last 90 days, and then run another event. Show me the value of the orders of those orders that have happened in the last 90 days. So there's a series of, it's not just one event. You can run events on events on events to get the granular information that you want from it. So it's using a SQL database. It's built on a .NET foundation. It runs under IIS. So for people on Pervasive ProvideX, we're going to move it to a SQL database to run the solution to get the power of what you need from it. And so the new features: native SMS alerts, which is cool because we've been asked for that for a long time because no one's sitting at their desk. SSRS reporting, because some don't want to use Crystal, or they need some different things. Charts design, all those things. I won't go through the list, but all the things that you need to be successful, because we're tying in not only client server applications, but we're tying into different event applications. So with the REST API, right, so we can do it in REST JSON and or XML. So if you're tying in a non-Sage product, for example, if you wanted to tie in I don't know, a popular CRM product out there in the marketplace that runs in the cloud, you could do that into Sage. You can transfer, move information back and forth. If you wanted to look at things like Survey Monkeys, if you wanted to tie in your your systems into Indeed and LinkedIn, that sort of idea for moving marketing information. If you're in the HR component of the relationship, anywhere there is data from you need to move to the next equation that we can connect to an API, we can use the software. This also goes for people who want to communicate through a fax or a printer. A lot of people want to print orders at the warehouse, for example. So we can communicate through the web API of the printer and send information from Sage Alerts down to different printers, internally, externally, of that application. So yes, Sage has a REST layer to it, and brilliant. We're using that. But when we look at holistically all the things that wrap around the Sage Enterprise, that's where we come in, where we can give you one data connection in and out, and bring data from multiple locations, bring it together and communicate it through that REST API. So lots of different value propositions in communication in a standard format. And so our final thing is Sage Alerts in the cloud. And now this is a newer offering, which is just going through testing with some of our partners now, and it is a pure Azure play. So we've got a lot of people that are client server. Sage and the partners have perhaps moved you to a hosted solution or a cloud solution where we're taking that your solution and we're putting it in the cloud, but it's still a singular instance of your solution that we're just hosting on your behalf, right? It's the Sage Partner Cloud. And then there's the next evolution. So if you're moving to a pure cloud solution where it is a many-to-one relationship out there to take advantages of the different avenues of different Sage products, if you will. Let's look at using Sage Alerts and Workflow in the cloud. So it is based on Azure. It's sitting in an Azure environment, so it has all the security and reliability around Azure, all the cool and complexity things to tie in and moving information from a cloud to cloud application across the different platforms. But what's neat is we can use the cloud solution to connect to a cloud solution, but we also have a data connector to connect to things that are not ready to move to the cloud, right? But are still part of our business process. So things like, for example, I want to move my ERP to the cloud, but my warehousing system is still on client server. So let's have a data connector and connect all the things that are still operating our business back and forth to the application through the data connector, but have the benefits of global visibility from the cloud and the security of the cloud in connectivity of the cloud where we can. So giving the best of both worlds, if you will, not forgetting our past where we as a product have about 12,000 clients out there at all different stages of the life cycle within Sage and across multiple Sage products. So we need to respect you as the clients of how your evolution of business is going and make sure the product keeps in lockstep with you. So having the cloud solution, having a data connector, we're going to be able to meet all the things that you need. So that's coming out. You'll start to see more and more of this within the Sage organization. So if you determined you could benefit from Sage Alerts for what is the next term, can you afford it, right? So, okay, tell me. So consider this. One staffer, 15 minutes a day over the course of a month costs you $175, right? Just fun with math. Sage Alerts and Workflow costs $119 a month. So that gives you the alerts. So for $119 a month, you can have everyone in your organization get information instantaneously from Sage 100 delivered to them at a meaningful point in time in the life cycle of that order. That has power, that has visibility, that has customer experience written all over it, and a good way to move forward. So a system and actual insight is the best means by which you can increase the responsiveness of your organization and differentiate yourself from your competition. So how do I get it? Where do I find more information? How do I get a hold of me? So if you go to alertsandworkflow.com, on this website, you'll find click here to find out more. Does your organization needs alerts and workflow? On that is basically it pops up an Excel spreadsheet with a series of questions on it. I think there's 16 questions, and then each question drills down about 10 different times. So about 160 questions that we ask you about your business. Basically, my 10 slides at the beginning, we just drill on a little bit deeper on those things. And at the end of it, we send you a report and saying, like, based on what you just told us, this makes good, viable sense for your business. And you go, okay, so what's the next thing I do? Okay, download the software. If you work with your partner, you can download the software and run it unlimited, no restraints to it, full functioning for 30 days. Install it, get it up and running, download the event pack. That, as I say, 80 different events. If you're running HRMS, there's another 45 different events with that. Download it and run it, get it up and running, and prove it to yourself that the value. You're not going to get all the events running at once. You're going to get three events up and that are most meaningful to you about what is an impact to your business, and remembering that it's $119 a month to move forward with this. So we believe in the product enough to give you the product and let you install it for 30 days, full functioning, no ands, ifs, or buts, and run it so that you can get moving forward. So between that, some documentation we can share with you. There is online videos. There is actual technical videos. We've taken the product and we've broken it up. As I say, we sell it around the globe with Sage products, and Sage sells globally. So the information that we share has to be used in India and Australia and all over the world. And so it's broken up into 12 to 18-minute segments on training videos of how to do this. How do I do something in my AR? How do I do something in my GL? Information of creating events. So all that's there, and then it's surrounded by support, which is unlimited. So when you buy the product, and as long as you continue to, in a perpetual model, if you will, can pay your maintenance and support, you get unlimited support to us. Your partner gets unlimited support to us that supports you in getting this product up and maintaining. We run with versions. So as a white label, as a product that's called Sage, we get before any solution goes out to GA, right? So Sage 100 is coming out with 2022 here. Is we get the product prior to you as a consumer, so that we're testing against it. We also work with the other ISVs to make sure if they've changed something that we've tested against that along the way, so that when you do finally get the product with your application, it's working the first time. You're going to continually upgrade your solution with Sages, maybe on a yearly or every second year. You're upgrading to the newer versions. We will upgrade with you along the way. And then secondly, for our partners out there that are listening in, you're welcome to download the software and have it for a demo solution as well. So everything you want as a landing point is here on this slide. And then finally, my contact information. I know you have Tara's and Stewart Technologies, but if you wanted to reach out to Tara, reach out and have that conversation. We'd be happy to talk about your business specific needs, what you're trying to achieve, what the goal is, and how the product can work with you. So with that, Tara, I'll open it up if there is any questions. If not, we'll thank you all for your day. So Tara, if you're still there.
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you.
I'm just looking to see if anyone has any questions. And I guess while we're waiting, one thing that our firm or that my firm has done is as you were talking, Greg, I was over here writing down all the projects that my firm has done, just to see if these ideas would help, get people thinking. And a lot of it, I think you've kind of covered in different flavors, but we've done workflow projects. We just wrapped up one recently where the accounting department actually scaled back their staff. So we actually worked with the accounting team on an entire credit hold project. And so the project evolved into customers getting statements and notices every month, to if the customers went out a certain number of days on their account, I think it was 10 days past due, they got an email. If they went 30 days past due, they got put on credit hold automatically. And then if they paid their account, we would run a report and then also take them off of credit hold. And we did that because the accounting department was really scaled back some of their resources, and they were struggling on some of the manual processes just to maintain the credit hold. So that was something recently that we've done. We've implemented projects where it sends out the tracking numbers to customers. We've used Sage Alerts actually to build integration, so importing files, exporting data and having it imported into another file. We've done a lot of projects with banks, with Positive Pay, ACH, things like that, where the files automatically get uploaded to the bank site. We've automated the open sales order report in Sage. We've modified alerts that you guys have, like the customers I'll call it the naughty list, but sending out emails to notify people when customers are about to be eligible for the naughty list so that if they're calling in for support, people can see it. We did one project where emails would get sent when customers' credit cards were about to expire to ensure that if they had any credit card charges, that those would not expire for those accounts. And a lot of times, if anyone's interested, we have installed the software, kind of that 30-day trial you had talked about. We've installed it for customers and let them use it for the 30 days. And to date, everyone that we've done that for ended up buying the software. So we've never installed it and had somebody say, nope, not interested. To date, anytime we've installed it and had them try it in that 30-day mode, they ended up buying it. So I don't know if that's helpful for anyone on the call, but just wanted to mention some of the things that we've been doing with Sage Alerts. And we've been doing Sage Alerts for 10 years, 15 years. It's been a while. However long it's been around, and working with Sage is probably about how long we've been doing it.
Yeah. No, that's excellent. You started in high school. Nice.
Yeah, I
That's
wish.
well,
Does
thanks,
anyone on
Terry.
the call have any questions before we run away?
If not, that's cool. And for the people in the future, who are gonna hear this recording, Tara, myself, reach out. It's a quick overview on a product that's the problem is we're not a vertical solution. We're so horizontal. We can affect every part of your business. There is no, we're not manufacturing, we're not distribution. We can affect anyone who's from, nonprofit to fintech, right? Because we can build an alert that has something that has some meaningful value to your business. Good stuff. Well, with that, Tara, let's say goodbye. Thank everyone for their time today and in the future. And thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you so much for doing the presentation today. I really appreciate it. Thank you everyone for your time. Have a wonderful day.
Nice guys. Bye-bye.